San Clemente Island, located roughly 60 miles off the coast of Southern California, is home to some of the finest saltwater bass fishing on the planet. Anglers making the long run best be prepared to weather the elements, but once they arrive at this island oasis, stellar fishing is almost always in store. Join Team Basstic TV as we venture to San Clemente Island in search of monster calico bass. Welcome to the west end of San Clemente Island. Northwest Harbor on one side and the runway on the other. When this zone wants to bite, it can be absolutely incredible. Watch the swells though, they can be big, unpredictable, and quite dangerous. For many teams, the west is the best, and when the conditions come together, you'll see why. Let the games begin. What a fine way to start the morning here at San Clemente Island. Just got here a few minutes ago and started off with this fish is probably 3.5 pounds. Look at the gut on him, and I don't know if he or she is pregnant or maybe she's just taking a lot of calories and bulking up for the winter, which I kind of think the latter is the more likely scenario, but God, that is just a morbidly obese fish. She ate a sledgehammer, fell out of her mouth, just kind of ripped over some laid down kelp. We're fishing kind of a mid-range kelp. We're not on the way outside stringers and we're not on the way inside ones. These ones look nice where the kelp's kind of tucking near the surface, so these fish are a little higher in the column. And we're gonna let this beauty go. Start off the day strong. Hey, little buddy. That's what we do. Wonderful, wonderful way to start the day. Let's put some more on the board. What do you think, Matt?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. When big fish are the target, there is no swim bait out there that will perform better than a sledgehammer from Big Hammer. This color right here is red calico and probably the most versatile color of this 9-inch swim bait. And I've got just a standard weedless head. I'm going to be taking this bait, I'm going to be threading it on there real nicely. Nice and easy. Try to get a straight thread. I'm gonna just push it right on. And these things really stay on these lead heads really nicely. You know, these are gonna last through a lot of tail bites, a lot of fish nipping at that tail trying to pull it down. You can see it's a really nice setup, and it matches up really perfectly once you get it snug there. Now, we're working some outside kelp. We've got some nice current in here, the watercolor's right, and I think, just maybe, we're gonna be able to pull some quality models on this combo right here. What I've got it rigged on is one of my heavy-duty setups. I've got a Shimano Curado 300 EJ with 65-pound Moss Green Power Pro. Leader-wise, I got a 40-pound leader, maybe about a 2.5, 3 foot length. That is mounted on a Shimano Crucial 711H. This is one of my favorite rods for this application. A lot of guys like to fish the Terezes, like the ADMH Terez Waxwing Edition. A lot of guys like to fish the Terramars, like an ADMH as well, maybe an ADH. The thing I like about this rod is it has a little bit of a softer tip. So when the fish eat it, it gives just a little bit so the fish can load on and you're not going to pull it out of their mouth. So let's get started. Let's start working some lanes with this excellent bait. So you can fish this bait in a variety of manners. Sometimes I really like to burn it, but this time of year my favorite way to really work this bait is just make a long cast down some lanes or into a nice pocket of water, and then just start a slow, steady retrieve. With this bait, it's so long that when you get that cadence right, it's gonna have this nice undulating pattern and a snake-like kind of movement, which really drives those fish crazy. And often, I'll even really just slow it down to the point where I'm barely moving the head towards me, but that tail just really gets kicking, and those fish climb all over it. It's really a fun bait to fish, and you'd be surprised at the size of the fish that will sometimes come up and eat this bait. We've caught, you know, everything from little 12-inchers and then all the way up to some of those really large fish, 8+ pounders, like Jeffrey got this morning. Not a long cast, and that slow retrieve, just rolling that bait towards the boat, kicking side, 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 side. And those fish just go bonkers over it. Another cool way you can fish the sledgehammer is by cutting the tail off and rigging it with a wide gap weedless hook like this Owner Beast hook we have right here. By doing this, you have a nice little slug profile, and it's virtually weedless, so you can throw it into the thickest kelp and work it a little bit slower, and that bait just darts back and forth. It's really neat. Let me show you how this thing swims. Just take a cast into a nice pocket, and then I'm going to kind of do a combination of a few winds, maybe pop it a few times with the rod tip, a few winds, pop it with the rod tip, and this bait's just going to dart back and forth. Look at it coming in here. There we go. Look at that bait in the water. Awesome. And those fish will really chomp that thing, especially in the summer months when those fish are really high in the column and actively hunting, you know, some of these big smelt that go through there. It looks like a dying bait fish of some sort. Very neat way to fish it. Very fun. The explosive strikes on it are second to none. The backside, the weather side, home to the largest calico bass in Southern California. But it's not for the faint of heart. Back here you often won't see a soul all day, which doesn't bode well if trouble arises. We like to fish the endless inside beaches and reefs, but don't disregard the fertile outside kelp. Look for clean water and good inside surge. If you find it, it's game on.
So what happened, winding my bait on the outer lanes, the snake came up and I got scared.
Well, that's what happens at San Clemente Island. We were fishing this inside stuff, and Jeff's like, well, I'm getting bit on the outside. And I pulled us out a little ways, and we started firing some casts right on the edge of this kind of break here You got the inside stuff, and then you got a line of kelp, and then it extends out here. And on his like second cast, he gets absolutely crushed. And look at that fish. And I'm sitting there, and these fish are following him all around, and I drop down with a bait that's bit in half by another big one, and hook another one. And I said, well, 3.5 pounder, Jiminy crickets. This is why we come to San Clemente Island. I tell you, this is phenomenal, phenomenal fishing. Let's get a weight on. I'm gonna let this guy. So it's mid-morning here. The currents died, the tides receded, that inside stuff's really shut off. Of course, you know, we really took advantage of some great bites in there this morning, so it's not too much of a concern. What we're doing right now is we're working some mid-range kelp, not quite the outside, not quite the inside. It's pretty matted, it's not laying down at all. So we're throwing some of these weedless applications, one of which is a spinner bait. This bait's really neat because it really rolls over all the grass and all the kelp. You're not really snagging anything, and it also elicits a very strong reaction bite from some of these fish, which are just sitting under these mats, and they'll just dart out and get it. And we've already had a couple fish come out and smash it, and we're going to probably hook them pretty soon. And Jeffrey up there, he's fishing a big hammer, 6.5-inch fish chick on an owner beast wide gap weighted weedless hook. Let's see that guy right there. Yeah, this guy right here. You can see we have to do a little snipping with it, but it swims really, really nicely. And he's also had some fish starting to roll up. But we just started kind of approaching it like this. We're going to see what happens. And yeah, really wonderful. Fun day out at the island. Prime Calico Bass. They're a beautiful fish. I was just looking the other way, blows up on it, and
When the swells are up, the east end is often anglers' best bet. Not that it doesn't bite in perfect conditions. We've had some awesome days this year fishing in and around Pyramid Cove. Plus, you never know when an exotic is going to show up. Think yellowtail. Remember, just because this area sees the most pressure doesn't mean there aren't untouched zones. Fish where no one else can, and you will be rewarded. When you want calm water and peaceful weather, roll to the front side of San Clemente Island. The front side is characterized by its beaches and shallow kelp lines. If you are willing to work the inside of the kelp between it and the beach, medium-sized calicos are common and giants do exist. Break out the reaction baits for extra fun. We have done excellent throwing spinner baits and slash baits, especially when the sun is out. Beware of the marauding bonita schools though. They are known to ambush your offerings, and they are great fighters on the light tackle, so it's a nice change of pace when the bass fishing is slow. The front side is also a good place to end your day. Enjoy the lack of swells as you break down the rods and stow your gear for the long charge home.
So we're getting into a pretty good pattern here on the front side. And what we're doing is we're taking a lot of very short to medium range casts, but they're very accurate. So we're targeting specific pockets on the beach, specific rocks that might have a little bit behind them, and specific little pockets in this kelp. So I'll show you what I'm doing. Say I'm sitting up in this kelp, and as you can kind of see, there's quite a bit of little pockets or mini lanes, not long lanes, not 100-foot lanes, but enough so that I can work my bait through there for a few seconds. So excuse me real quick, Matt. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find one of those mini pockets, say up there. I'm gonna make an accurate cast up into it, and then I'm gonna start winding. And I'm winding pretty fast here, because I'm really trying to get that reaction bite, those fish that are sitting in those pockets. I really wanna trigger them into biting. And a lot of times they're gonna be on it really quickly. They'll be on it within a couple seconds, few seconds. Again, I see another little pocket, so I pitch in there. See, a short cast, and it's not a very long cast, but you will be surprised how many fish will eat that bait right by the boat. And you can see my cadence is very fast. You know, I'm not doing that crawl. I'm trying to really burn that bait in front of these fish and get them to see that bait and say, I want to eat that, I want that meal. We've got about 5-6 miles of the shoreline that we can cover today, and I assure you, we're gonna do our best to do all of it and picking away the whole time. We've already got about a dozen fish. Hoping to upgrade and get some of those larger individuals as the day goes on. Back to the beach, working some beaches on the front side. The backside was cold, and that's really what it came down to. It was cold and there wasn't much life. We got some nice fish, but it really wasn't what we were looking for, and the wind was picking up, so we decided to roll up here where the water's a little bit warmer. And the results are a steady picking at some of the smaller fish, but this is the first of the better ones. We're hoping to continue upgrading. Look at this fine specimen. Let him go. Right now, bait choice, 6.5-inch big hammer, just on this head here. And we're just rolling it through this shallow water. It's very shallow. It's kind of funny because we get these plains in here. It's shale, or not shale, kind of gravelly boulders down there, and then you got eelgrass and some sparse kelp, and it really makes for long plains that you can roll this bait over, and you'll see these fish come up, and you'll see how I'm approaching it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, choose a good area, make sure my bait's rigged right and true, fire a cast into the beach. Lands in the beach, I'm going to start winding, and I'm going to keep that rod to a little bit higher so that bait's not sinking down into that muck down there. And I'm just winding, and I'm repeating it over and over and over again, and then you're just racking fish up. Teeth on that bugger. See, we don't only catch bass. We catch all kinds of crazy critters out here at San Clemente Island.